All right, continuing from the previous, and I'm loving this conversation as well. So, and so I'm sharing my process kind of at different levels. Right now, I'm going to go kind of deep into a detail of what I was writing up yesterday. So, I came up with this concept of these cascading exponentials. So imagine an exponential that takes us from an initial state zoop, up to a new state. Now we could continue on that exponential, or we could jump off at that state and start on a whole new exponential with a whole new paradigm, right? So just think of it as bloop, and then bloop, and then bloop, right? Cascading exponentials. And that got me thinking about how each of us got to where we are right now in terms of our perspectives on the world. We each went through a bunch of different, we went to college, we had a job, you know, we spent time in a different country. That was always, and Charles, since you've lived in different countries and so have I, we know how profound that is at a young age to just cross a giant ocean and you're in a whole different country, a whole different culture. So as I was thinking about that, right, thinking about the cascading exponentials that humanity as a whole needs to take, I said, wait a second, first let me dial it back to the individual. What are the cascading exponentials that an individual goes through in their lifetime? And then I started to map out my own, and, you know, fully prepared to share that today. Didn't get to it, but, you know, I was going to talk about my growing up in the San Francisco Bay Area, being conceived in the summer of love, 1967, born 1968, when Martin Luther King and Bobby Kennedy are getting assassinated and we're landing on the moon, you know, in Vietnam, and just that whole tumultuous time in the San Francisco Bay Area, which was a hotbed for political activity and free speech and community building and alternate forms of X, Y, and Z and all that stuff. And then from there, moving to Seattle and learning about racism, which I had no concept of in the San Francisco Bay Area. My best friend was Black. And, you know, we had kids from all different parts of the world, and it was just one big hodgepodge, and it was great. And there was no racism where I grew up. And then I go to Seattle. I had to move to Seattle, Washington to learn about racism. And I was going to tell that story. And then going to Mexico, doing volunteer work there, living in Spain for a year, learning Spanish, being immersed in Europe and Spanish culture and all that at age 14, 15, coming back to the United States. So this, you know, hot tub, cold swimming pool, hot tub, cold swimming pool, this, you know, milk and Oreo, you know, going from different, back to the United States and then off to Mexico to do volunteer work for a whole summer. And then getting really into that, doing latrine construction. Anyway, so I just started mapping out my own personal cascades, my own personal evolution. And I got pretty far into it. And then here's kind of the last segment of it, just so you see sort of visually. It's got, you know, kind of pictures and some real flavor to it. And then, Charles, just so you can see my process, I left the rest of this giant sheet blank because I said, you know what, I'll come back to that. And so I just put the title, Yamen's Personal Cascades, right? So this is a work in progress, so I can come back to that when I want. That's page 2. Here's page 3, you know, mapping out kind of this convergence upon truth. This is a concept that we can talk about later. Converging upon truth and the obvious solutions that we need to do. There's some that are just obvious, right? We don't need to talk about it anymore. We just need to do it, right? Okay. So, and
remind me to tell you about Pravda DAO. That's a footnote for now, but go ahead.
Pravda DAO. Okay, gotcha. And then all this brought me to, at the end, this concept of historical engineering, which is what we're in the process of doing right now. There are people who analyze history after it's happened, and there are people who make history happen in the moment. That's what we're doing right now. We're historical engineers. We're engineering the future.
And you think that recordings are dead and static?
No. I was just making a dramatic comparison. I actually love recordings. I love that they exist, and I want to fill up the largest multi-petabyte big database of all these recordings and transcripts and all kinds of other data and metadata and everything else, and AI analyses and patterns that have been discovered, and you name it. I'm all into all that.
And he hasn't even mentioned his giant library of audio recordings and voice dictated
I was going to get
text.
to that, but I mean, we're sort of over time, but yeah, I'm all over it.
Well, as we were discussing last night, early hours of the morning, Jackie and Nolan and ourselves, we were talking about the Anunnaki and the library of information that they left behind in cuneiform tablets, and that's still being deciphered at the moment, and it's all indexed and everything else. So we're leaving the modern generation, the modern day version of a library of information in the form of video conversations and text as well. So in a sense, we're taken off from where the Sumerians left off, in a sense, like, because we're concerned with the future of the planet in a sense too.
True. Thank you.
I am so glad we don't have to scratch things in stone. I think it's just
That would be a lot of scratching.
So, for example, I mentioned free transit. Let's just take that as an example. And everybody, there's people perhaps, well, there is somewhere else in the world who think free transit is significant. So I guess when will the fact that I mentioned free transit in connection with Dr. Rao's report, which says we shouldn't be thinking free transit before we just think about what we are eating, when will that moment be linked, taken, and some bot will connect me to everybody else who ever talked about free transit, so they also hear what I said regarding free transit, that it's just not that important at this moment, when there's other things that we should be thinking about and doing, like changing our next grocery list. Any predictions?
Myles, I'm a big fan of free transport. I think it's great, but we should get on with the meat thing. But meat seems to be some kind of pardon the pun, it's a holy cow. It's just, as I put it up there, hush. It's one of those unmentionables. And regarding the free public transport, you know that they've actually put it in it's a lot easier for them to do it in Luxembourg. You know, they've got a free public transport system now. It's all over Luxembourg.
Wow. Thank you.
Yeah, Luxembourg's very rich, but it's also a very small country, so it was kind of easier to put it in there. It's very congested, and there are little pockets of free public transport all over the world. We know that meat is more expensive in terms of polluting and damaging the planet than transport even. You know, that the facts and figures say that, but it's not an either or. It's both. But regarding what Silas said, it's just that it's literally a holy cow. Just don't go there. Don't touch my sausages. Don't. Pardon that pun as well.
Yeah, one of the schemes introduced here in Cork City, and it's a small city here, Cork City, really, like, it's really small, to be honest, in comparison to American cities or other European cities. But one of the things we introduced to reduce the amount of traffic coming in around the city, as well as banning lorries now and large traffic and everything else, and through the main city thoroughfares. But everywhere you go on different streets, there's rows of bicycles that are kind of locked to these pillars, and they have a little meter on the back of it. You go over and you put your couple of euro coins in it, and it unlocks the bike from the pillar, and you can drive anywhere in the city and leave the bike at any one of these stops anywhere in the city. There's plenty of them around, and you know, you just pay for the usage of the bike and you just lock it back to another pillar wherever you get to your destination. So it stops anybody using cars then and around the city as well. So most people now use bicycles, and they've all the bicycle lanes put into the roads in the majority of the roads that they can anyway. Like. So it's a good initiative, but they're all small scale things like these, like this conversation or this meeting we plan on going to. Like they're different conversations, but they're all little things that help, but none of them collectively together. You know, dealing
Well,
with.
I really like saying that we have holy cows. I never thought of it. I always thought, yeah, they've got holy cows over in India. No, these cows in Canada are holy cows. We just don't recognize them, like So has pointed out, that these are holy cows. No, you know, it's like, oh my God, no, don't talk about my holy cow and my holy sausages and beefsteak. Thank you, So. Very interesting concept.
I wanted to jump in before I have to sign off, back on the repository stuff slightly. So James,
You're on mute, Charles. You're on mute. I'm going to unmute. No. Yeah, go ahead. Yeah.
sorry, I think I didn't realize it. Thanks. So yeah, I wanted to just go back before I have to sign out in regard to the repository stuff slightly. And so one is about those audio transcripts and also the Zoom chats. I'm just curious about those things, where they might be found if they're already accessible somewhere.
Yeah. I haven't done anything with the Zoom chats. It's just purely out of laziness. Part of the laziness is, you know, reading through to make sure that somebody who, like, say, posted their email address for everyone who happened to be in the room, we don't want to then post that to the world because they only intended for the room to see.
Takes time to
scrub
edit
out
that stuff. But do you know?
Yeah.
So just a kind of flag, because you know, it's also a note to myself, like. Do you have that on a list, as in go back and take out the email addresses and other, you know, personal sensitive information? Do you know to remind yourself to do that at some point? Is that like prominent item on that list, whatever that list is?
No, it just got put on the list verbally. Prior to 2 minutes ago, it wasn't even on the list. And well,
right.
Actually, that's not fair. I'm sure Nolan and I probably talked about it, and Nolan probably said, "Hey, this is important." I mean, you know, we've talked about it, but I haven't actually put it on a list. Go ahead, Nolan.
Well, a solution to that it's so in those notes that I showed you earlier, recently I've just been copying stuff from the chat, just using my own judgment and determining what should go in there. If people are sharing links and it's like a public, just a link to a website, I'm gonna always try to move that over and say, oh, somebody put it in the chat.
Into the Google Doc, right? Is that what you're referring to?
Yeah.
Thanks. Yeah.
That's turns out to be a little bit easier, I think, to just, and that's kind of, I think that's the lesson with really, like, well, I guess I just want to emphasize the dynamic part of the knowledge repository, because, and like the creating it and maintaining it in the moment, I think is really important. As much of that work that we can do now, instead of going back and like retracing, I think
for sure
that's really important.
Yeah. It's definitely been one of our findings, my own, more and more recently. So I totally agree. Like in my own notes, my maps, when I take my notes, especially when there's like, I'm taking a lot of notes anyway, but some people just talk more quickly and exceed my capacity to keep up. So then it's very important to kind of make a personal manual timestamp, like go back, get that part, fill it in, you know, note to self, asterisk. It's just my own thing. And then what I do, just to kind of, maybe it's similar to what you're doing, is in real time also pasting from the chat in Zoom over into my notes. Yeah. And then otters, Jamen has the massive otter collection.
Yeah, from time to time, I'll just let the otter run and just talk to my otter, and then. But I find that actually my iPhone and the Notes application and voice dictation into that, which doesn't have the feature that you just hit go and let it go. You know, it'll capture for whatever 15, 20 seconds, whatever its built-in limit is, and then you have to hit it again to record more. But I find that the transcription quality is so much better here, and I can kind of control it. You know, if I otter for 2 hours, you know, I don't want to go back and comb through it. Sometimes I do, but it's very rare. But here I can just like, okay, I want to add this. So I'm literally like writing with my voice, right? And so much of what I send out via email to you all on the bi-weekly, the semi-weekly, twice a week email blasts has been written with my voice on this device.
Right.
And then I edit it a little bit.
Okay, thanks for that. That's useful. But the Zoom recordings, that I know Zoom also integrates with Otter, so I was mostly referring to that.
Yeah. Oh yeah. No. We cannot wait until we can just press a button and have transcripts automatically generated for the entire Zoom recording. And you know, that's part of our big vision that we talked about going back to, you know, December, Charles, where we said, you know, yeah, all these transcripts, and then index them, make them searchable, etc. You know, that's part of the big vision. So that's there's so much just gold just waiting to be wrung out from those old wet towels of recorded video conferences.
Old wet towels. You got to watch those metaphors, man. I don't know. Sorry, that one didn't pass my whatever. It's okay. You can throw that in the barbecue.
Okay, all right. Hey, Nolan, you want to take those wet towels out back to the barbecue? I think the fire's still going.
Yeah, I'd love a nice whiff of that. Great. Well, yeah, just to be clear about where Otter's at. The last time I checked, Zoom had released, Zoom and Otter had released the capability to have to transcribe meetings live and have a web page so that you could it basically serves as a third-party streaming service. So we can't stream to Twitch as well as Otter for the time being. At least I haven't found another service that would allow us to do both of those. But if you just stream to Otter, you can get a web page that's generating the transcript in real time. You have to have a team plan on Otter, and then I think those team members can like highlight and make corrections as it goes along. I haven't actually experimented with that though. That would be an awesome thing to do for sure. And ideally we could live stream at the same time, but I don't know if that's possible yet.
Right on. Yeah, we're looking very closely at that too, but we haven't had a chance to actually try that. Yeah. And the Twitch, I'm trying to remember now. I just heard about this feature where you can. Is that the one where you can go back? You can actually flag something and go back prior to the moment and grab it or something, right? Is that the idea?
Yeah. So we're not streaming right now, but basically I'm pretty sure anyone that's signed into Twitch while they're watching the stream can click this clip button, and then it will give you it'll open in a separate tab. It'll give you 5 seconds after you hit that button, and then a minute and a half before that, and you have to trim it down to a minute or less. which is still useful.
Yeah. Thanks. Yeah. Just that's the cutting edge. I think that's as far as I understand.
Yeah.
You have to actually do it, you know, get into position and then go, you know. Jamen, you look like you want to say something. I don't know what though.
Oh no, I'm just very happy at the end of 24 and a half hours. By the way, I don't know if you know this, Charles, but I take a break from 9 p.m. to 2 a.m. for 5 hours. Get a few hours of sleep. We instituted that starting at like block party number 9 or something, and it's just been life changing for me to not have to do a 24-hour nonstop marathon every week.
Being so engrossed in the conversation, we didn't do the traditional countdown.
Oh, that's right. Yeah. Well, let's do it now. Better late than never. All right. On my lead, everyone. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Woo! All right, block party number 15. 15 block parties under our belt. That's like, what, 360 hours of block party.
Block party.
I mean, that's the equivalent of meeting 1 hour every day, 7 days a week for a whole year.
What was the best bit out of all of it for each of you that took part? Which was the best moment then?
Oh my goodness.
Just select one moment that was like, yeah, your yeah moment.
I would have to say it was the moment when Jackie expressed feeling it in her body that this is actually birthing, right? The particular hyper solution of Operation Stone Soup, and starting it with a press conference that gets to the whole world and gets the world into the collective intelligence centered around feeding everyone. When she could feel that in her body, and I could see it in her eyes, and she's extremely sincere, speaks straight from her heart. She is amazing. And that was just one moment in her whole transformation. She is just transforming and just wow, right? And the divine feminine is, and this is just a whole theme within the block party, the divine feminine, which we do from 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. Pacific time, every block party. Wow. And we just have these amazing speakers, and it's just led by 3 amazing women, including Jackie and my own partner, Melissa, and Myra, right? And they just do such an amazing job. So just seeing Jackie's transformation, but that was perhaps the inflection point that just blew everyone's mind. Definitely blew my mind. Wow, this is really happening.
Yeah, that's a good question though. So because we've actually discussed parts of this conversation during the late hours of the night for the last number of weeks, and it's in relation to what you were just saying there as well about making a record. And there's so many videos of the past conversations that are already after taking place. It's a quagmire of information for any one person to go through. So we were saying that one idea would be for everyone involved in the block party to go back to what moments they can remember as being poignant, and go back to those videos, those recordings on YouTube, and look at them and timestamp the poignant moments for you, and then let Nolan, let him know the you know, which block party it was, which week it was, and what part it was, and the timestamp of those poignant moments, so he can start making and compiling a list to transcribe all those moments and make little clips of all those little video parts as well for people to be brought to those specific points. So and everyone needs to collectively like look at these old videos and look for the poignant moments that that matter to them, and give Nolan the timestamps. That would help.
Do you remember the Indian lady? And she was talking about feeding her vegan dogs, and that was like a very. There was some talk about the divine feminine, which I don't really grasp, but I suddenly thought this woman was the divine feminine. She was just chatting away when she was cooking. She was probably in India, and she was talking about her vegan dogs, and then she read something from the Bhagavad Gita about your dogs were your animals were part of your household, and then she said something about even if a snake comes into your yard, it's your responsibility to look after the snake. And I just like, okay, so in a way she was giving me the divine feminine from the Bhagavad Gita, which I would never have bothered to read, to be honest with you, but it stuck with me, and it was one of those moments that I was really glad I was there.
I'm looking for that now.
I actually penned it down in a tiny poem, Nolan, because I called it Indian Mother, but it was pretty much almost like a poem that was pretty much a transcript of what she said, or my memory of what she said, and I made it into a tiny little poem, because that's how I take notes. I make little notes in poems, or I don't know whether they're in verse sometimes, or they're in like a poem style. Yeah, that's my version of mapping.
That's awesome. And was this last week?
It was last week, and it was so lovely as well. It was like we were sharing her domestic setting, and I'm guessing she was in India, maybe she was in America, I don't know, but I felt like I was in India, and then she was doing her cooking, and the dogs were in the background, possibly a snake in the yard, who knows. And she was reading from this tiny little bit from, I mean, it's Lakshmi, some divine feminine person, and then she read this little piece out, and it all kind of flowed naturally, just like it would if you were in your kitchen and you're chatting with a mate, or it just felt really like the conversation gives space to rant, or it gives space to just suddenly come in with a random thought. I really like that particularly, and it kind of summed up what the conversation is like.
So I just posted Kushboo, who's got a series. She's been here. She's Indian. I don't know if you're talking about Kushboo, but I've posted in a link to a YouTube channel where she's reading the Bhagavad Gita, probably not saying that right, with Skip Conover.
Yeah, it was her. I remember now. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm finding this Bhagavad, I'm not saying it right, the Bhagavad Gita, very fascinating. I'd never heard it read before. I've heard, just acquainted with it, but now I'm really struck by how profound it is, the wisdom. I just need to practice how to say the words.
Shankar gave you a little help there in the chat on how to say it. You're on mute, Myles.
On purpose. as I practice it.
Yeah,
Or
that's
take
one
my-
way of that's one way of not saying it incorrectly. Just shut the bleep up. Just kidding.
It takes me back to social studies, a social studies class in grade 7 or 8, and the teacher teaching me how to say statistics because I was getting all tongue-tied about it. I think I need another coffee.
Yeah, Myles would be saying sadistics. So he got sent to detention, and they called the Calgary police.
Well, the teacher said it's statistics, and so I said statistics. It still sounded ridiculous.
Yeah, perfect. Teach young Myles how to say it the wrong way. Statistics.
It's 3 syllables, so I think I'm pronouncing it right. If Shankar might correct me, Bhagavad Gita. Bhagavad Gita. No?
Bhagavad.
Bhagavad Gita. Bhagavad Gita.
Well, it's been a slice. You guys need to get to bed.
I weirdly don't feel tired. And I've been up since 7.
7 o'clock Friday morning. Yeah,
Yeah.
24 hours. Well, I've been up since, well, I got up at 5:15 a.m. Friday morning as usual, but I slept for 3 hours in the middle of the night. So that gave me a little recharge. But yeah.
Well, you guys are amazing because I don't know of anyone else who has such commitment to doing this. And so again, kudos. You are the pot of the Operation Stone Soup.
I'm the pot and Nolan's the stoner. So, yeah, together.
I'm going to say goodbye. I'll be the
All
first
right.
one to depart. And then, so thank you, James from Ireland, and So from England. Such great ideas and thoughts from you, and Shankar. Hope you get your audio fixed.
James is the Blarney Stone in the soup. All right. Hey, great to see you, Myles. Thanks so much for being a part of this. It would not be the same without you. And it takes a village to raise a block party. So thank you for raising the block party with us.
You're very welcome.
Thank
See you next week.
All right, Myles. I'll see you soon.
Take care, Myles.
Yeah.
I'm going to go as well, lads. I have a bit of gardening to do, so I'll see you on Tuesday.
Good for you. Good for you, James. All right. Awesome. We'll see you Tuesday.
Take care.
Take care.
Take it easy.
See you soon. Wow. Super cool conversations. You never know what's going to happen. That's one of the exciting things. Yes, so you got your hand raised. So you're on mute. Anyway, I don't know if that was from before or whatever, but anyway.
Oh, I found a little poem now I made about the Indian lady. So here it is. It's very short. Indian mother. A household must welcome its animals, she said. They must adapt to you. You care for them. You feed them in your own way. If a snake comes to your yard, it too is your responsibility. Keep it from shade, give it space, keep it watered. I don't actually know if snakes drink water, so I did have a bit of doubt.
I mean, what else are they going to drink? Beer? That's why you see a whole bunch of snakes hanging around the backs of pubs on a Friday night, hoping to get some splashes of beer. That's it.
The thing is, in my memory, that was what the so I'm paraphrasing the wise lady from Bhagavad Gita that the Indian lady was reading out. So it's a third-hand situation. But anyway, that was my poem note.
Awesome, beautiful. So thank you. Oh. Oh, man. What a journey, huh? Oh, let's see what we got here in the chat. All right. That which is night to all. In it, the sage is awake. Where all beings are awake. That is the night for the sage who sees the self. That is for Nolan.
I'm sorry you caught me off guard, Shankar. I'm trying to.
I think Nolan's 24 hours without sleep are starting to catch up with him.
No.
I'm just kidding.
I like it. That's good. Thank you for sharing. Thank you. Oh. I figured out recently that it's not super convenient. You have to be a little tricky, but you can actually link to specific parts in a Google Doc, which is pretty cool. Because that means we can just do some really simple cross-linking that way. So you can like we have these super long notes for one block party. It's like, I don't know, but that's a bunch of pages. And then you can reference like literally one line, which is cool. So just pull out somebody's quote. I don't think I'm gonna. Is there a call number for this block party? Oh, how do you see that?
Don't we have that up on the block party page? On the Zoom details? Isn't there the dial-in? I'll check. Let me verify.
Yeah, there should be. I also feel like there's a way to see it from inside the meeting, but I'm not sure how. Invite, oh.
Yeah, on the Block Party page, there's the dial-in info. You can dial in.
It's kind of weird. I can't figure out how you would. Doesn't seem like there's a way to see that information from inside the meeting. It's not working? I see a phone icon now on here. Wait, I'm gonna unmute you. It doesn't appear to do anything when I unmute you. Oh, there we go. You're unmuted now.
Yes. Can you hear me?
Yes. Yes.
Yes. Okay. But I'm not appearing here. It's okay. Yeah, I think I have only issues with the Zoom. This thing. My other chat apps all work. I don't know how. Yeah, actually, I was thinking this is like a lot of information. Like a lot of information means it's like a Wikipedia. All will make a sense when you are looking for details. I love what is like a kind of like a keyword pyramids. So all this information people interact. They have a very good pattern. They have a very good timeline. They have a very good individual tag, like who is saying this. That words are associated with somebody. Then the repetition of those words. So if all this if we imagine this as a keywords, bunch of keywords piling up, pile them by meetings or pile them by different meetings, then you will get some words come on the top. Like for example, you can say the name Nolan was mentioned like at least 100 times. Jamen was mentioned like 500 times. Hello was mentioned 2,000 times.
Yeah.
But when you pile up all this, then you will be like, yes, this guy mentioned this words on this five meetings on this way. So what does that mean? Like then we can take those sentences and we can analyze. They will stand. And if some of the key, I think that will help to see in a less chaotic way, because it's all like the conversation, right? Keep going on websites. Then you can see by the person, you can see the words by the pyramid, word pyramid. Then you can see by topic, like everybody spoke about vegan, what it is. Everybody spoke about solar radiation management or SRM, what about that? So that will tell you, like when you talk about solar radiation management, only 6 people were active talking about this. That's all. No inputs from anybody else other than these people.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it is like that's why I say like it's a multidimensional data analysis. It's the one output we need is like the bunch of words. That's all. As soon as we collect the bunch of words, then you toss them with the source name and everything. Then they all can be like seen as a array of data for a multidimensional analysis. So the inference will, it's more than inference. For example, it will be say, maybe the meeting number 4 and the meeting number 10 is more relevant on these two topics, on this topic.
Yeah.
And that particular time at 1 a.m. and the 9 p.m. of this thing makes relevance. And these 3 people who spoke about this makes relevance. So the wisdom lies there.
Mm.
The wisdom lies there in the interpretation.
Mm.
Yeah. So if the keyword is a little bit difficult, at least you could take that sentence strand, so that at least you will know this person in Shankar's conversation. This all came. Because it's very, then you can see also the, I think the audio or some artificial intelligence, you can see that emotional thing too. I'm casually saying it, or I'm very, very energized while saying that. I don't know how to do that in the artificial intelligence thing. There's you can ask the peak of my emotion, like I'm sharing with full excitement, goes on the peak. Something I don't know. I still don't know how that part can be associated. Maybe associating with the facial expression. Like
Yeah, I tried to.
Some of them. Go ahead.
Yeah, I tried to. I had this intuition a while ago that that it would actually be easier to extract like the logic and the emotion from a conversation by considering both the video and the audio streams together, and then not just like the transcript, but basically if you're transcribing, but you're also taking into account the tone of somebody's voice, and you're combining that with some facial recognition, like I think using all of those in tandem and treating that as like one data point would be like the word I said, the tone I was using while saying it, and the facial expression I had, and then it's in like a time series of the other words and facial expressions and tones, right? That would actually prove to be more accurate than just trying to, for instance, just trying to get transcripts to work really well just from audio. Like I was talking to this guy from Otter about it. I went at the Zoom conference that I went to in the fall, and maybe I'm not thinking about it the right way, but he seemed very convinced that they needed to perfect the transcription before they would move to something else. And I understand why they would do that, but at the same time, I still think that we could actually get way better results by using all of that data at the same time, like way better. And then we'd have like not just a dictionary of like that's mapping like audio to a word and maybe some punctuation after it, you know, or a sequence of words and punctuation. It would be like facial expression and audio and intonation mapped to, I don't know, that seems like a really useful dictionary to have that doesn't seem like Well, I'm sure there's work being done in that
Yeah.
area, but I'm not aware of it.
Yeah. One idea comes is the Zoom gives you both the video and audio, right? Output compiles. So if the video is good, but the another downside is some of them they just put a screen and they keep it only in audio. So it's kind of like, and it is a multiple screens. I don't know how that is going to pick. So the one way is at least you have the audio, which will give you the trucks and valleys or peak and the valleys and everything. So you can, if you put it like a simple, like you just put the audio, any music, it gives you that ups and downs arrow, like the frequency, amplitude, or this thing it gives you. So you can actually segment it. For example, you can put multiple voice. Later you can say this is Jamen's voice, this is Nolan's voice, this is Shankar's voice. If you're like, nope, I'm okay with Jamen, let me analyze others. You can take that voice out, then you can see only the other voice, which is going the up and down. Then I know it's kind of both ways, right? Put a line, it goes expands and contracts like that and moves forward. So you can say anything over this frequency is what I'm going to pay attention. Let me go and look at only those conversations. So just imagine this as this. I'm talking with what is available. Any music can be translated at the amplitude curve, right?
Mm-hmm.
That curve has its own expansion and contraction. Or the way, what do you call this? I don't know. I'm not using the word. Wavelength is this way, but what do you call going
Amplitude.
up and down? Yes, amplitude. So that part, if you segment it, anything over this range is what I'm going to pay attention. And when you see a lot of the conversation will have a pattern, silent conversation or everybody talking like no, that means argument or trying a lot of ideas clash. That's like playing multiple instruments.
Yeah.
Agree? So it's only one instrument going smooth and flow, and if it went for a long time. So all this with the transcript time will make some kind of area to focus so that you are not missing that golden nuggets.
Yeah.
So everything, it appears like a lot, still searching needle in the haystack, but at least you're first focusing on the golden nuggets. Then your keywords, like this word was mentioned 4 times in this time. So now when you combine this wavelength amplitude and also the keywords together, probably you have a focus area. So then you can see, then we have to see what it is for Jamen or what it is for the other focus group analyzing it. What is your objective to get things out of? Yeah, as a reference or something. So I mean, we still don't know what we want, but at least we can equip things so we know when we want, we can find it.
Yeah, I think the process of doing whatever manually now is revealing as to how we want to automate things, like what to start with. But yeah, just talking and envisioning this whole aspect of the CSI just makes me think like I don't know what databases are out there that are as clean as what I'm envisioning, but I love envisioning these separate streams of like, I mean, we have 360 hours already and we have several different characters, a bunch of different characters, evolving with each other over time. Like, that's super interesting data. And like,
Yeah,
one of the
that's a very
things,
good.
one of the things is like, I'm not like a natural language processing expert at all, but it makes sense to me that that an AI could learn with enough people doing what we're doing, and feeding this AI. I'm imagining, like, just think of how many scenarios. I don't know. It's like, I think there's actually more to learn. Like, something about the bouncing back and forth in conversation. Like, I'm digging for an idea right now, right? And then Jamen might just be like, oh, hey, here's the synthesis of.
Well, here it is. Here it is. So imagine that we present this whole data set, 360 hours, growing by the week, to AI researchers who are willing to work with us. What are the terms of the deal? We'll provide you this ongoing data stream. This is real life. This isn't made up. This isn't, hey, if you want to earn, $14 an hour in the summer while you're getting drunk and doing shrooms, show up here and pretend to have a conversation. No, this is real life. And it happens to be about something pretty darn important, which is saving life on Earth.
Yes.
Okay, so this is real. It doesn't get any more real than this. It doesn't get any more passionate than this, than human beings trying to save their own lives, and in fact trying to save their own species, and in fact trying to save all species, which may amount to saving complex life in the universe. It may be at that level. We simply don't know. And so this is a real data set of real human beings really getting to know each other across cultures, across time zones, across geographies, pre-pandemic, into pandemic, and eventually post-pandemic. So it's like it's the full wave, pre-wave, wave, end of wave. Oh, and then another wave's coming. And how do they deal with that? Well, they started dealing with that, a year ago, right? So this is a very unique data set, right? And and then I say let's say we're working with some badass AI, neurolinguistic, whatever, natural language processing, ontology mapping, Noam Chomsky, syntactic structures, you name it. Let's say, like, we're working with some badass university that's just strong across all those areas. And it becomes like even a cross-departmental. You got psychology, working with sociology, working with philosophy, working with computer science, with AI, with da-da-da-da, right? And you, let deep learning just do its thing and just let us know what patterns it's seeing, right? Versus us saying, well, what do you like about me? No. You go figure out what patterns you're seeing and you tell us, right? Tell us what you're seeing,
Yeah.
And there might be some like really badass multidimensional waveforms of when we get in sync. And then like the whole group is in sync and we're just like pulsating together, right? Versus others are like, and there's discord and bad feeling. And you can tell when Jamen feels bad because he does this, right? Et cetera, right? And et cetera. Just all the sociology, the psychology, the interpersonal, the game theory, and because one of the constructs that we talked about, hey, nobody, the crows are asking for their breakfast. Hawk, hawk, hawk. I'll get to you in a couple of minutes there, buddy. We're having a conversation. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I just want to add a point. In India, like at my house and all, this is a practice part of the. See, I grew up in Hindu culture. Okay, just saying this, but I'm open across anything beyond beliefs, everything. The Orthodox, little bit Orthodox culture, what I've seen is you still relate to yourself to all the beings. That's the concept. Okay, that means what? You put the rice powder outside a house for decoration so that ants can eat food. Then every day, dad, me, or my mom, or my brother, whoever it is, once we took shower, we cook the food for breakfast. The first thing we do is we serve for the crow. And the crow will come and ask, where is my food? You're a little bit late today. and we used to tell my mom and dad, they used to talk to the crow. They say, it is done. Wait, we are not done. We are humans. We don't follow. We are not as efficient. So they come and wait, and there is a place where we put the food. And I'll share the photos, okay? And it is very funny, and they know exactly, and they come and eat food in the morning, and they are omnivorous. So, but we give only whatever food that we ate little bit. First we give them, and we wait for the crow to eat, then we eat. So thank you, Jamen, you reminded me. But side conversation. Sorry, I'm back. Yeah. See that one more point I was saying.
Don't be sorry. I'm really inspired because, you're telling my story, as Nolan can attest. You are telling my story.
Yeah. Next, you can ask anybody. If you see in India, do you feed crows in the morning before you guys take breakfast? It's a little bit Orthodox community. They will say, yeah, we do. Yeah, we do. And it's a must on an auspicious day, something. For example, you are doing some ceremony for your ancestors, yearly remembrance for your ancestors or something. You just first cook and give a food to the crow, and they wait for the crow to eat. Then only the people go in and they'll formally assemble for the breakfast. So the crows are given that has that reverence or respect. And you can ask them. And coming back to the topic, what I was saying was, hey, as long as you have the information, both collective or selective, you can make it collective intelligence or selective intelligence. But something should be also help you to feed on the way, right? Because as and when the meetings are added, till now, what is the trend? What is the trend that we are in right now? Oh my God, you're feeding. That's cool. What are you feeding, Jamen? Oh, you're on mute. Okay.
I'm feeding them cat food, and I'm actually doing a love call to them. Cluck, cluck.
Okay.
Cluck.
Yeah, that's what we do. Actually, after putting the food, we call ka 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 ka.
Cluck, cluck. My goodness, Shankar, you and I are of the same crow feeder clan. That's so cool. Cluck.
I think I have a photo. I'll share the photo.
Cluck. Cluck. Hello, Daekwang. Cluck. Cluck.
Oh, I got the photo. I'm sharing.
Cluck. 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 Hello, Daekwang. Cluck. Hello, Daquan. Oh, I just enabled screen sharing. I'm sorry if that wasn't enabled, Shankar. I just enabled it.
Oh, no, I'll share the link. I'm just pulling it. Where is it? Just added the album.
Yeah, but while you're looking for that, I mean, this data set is just going to be so powerful, right? Because we'll be doing our own mappings and additions to the data and mapping stuff, tagging stuff, putting stuff into mapping it to taxonomies, right? And the AI will have full use of that as well.
Yeah, so that's my dad and mom.
Cool.
So you can see him. You can see the crow here.
Yeah, awesome.
So we have a, see, do you see this? They have a specific space to come and stand and eat.
Perfect.
Yeah, and morning they have their attention, okay? They are like, they literally talk and they bring their friends and say, where is my food? I'm waiting. And so you can see. And when we put that, we don't bother them. We just leave them because they're a little bit shy. And if they are very little ones, they are very brave. They'll come to you. But the grown-ups, like they won't come to you. So you can see here. See, my dad is feeding.
Wow. Wow.
And they will ask me, if the crow didn't come, they'll ask, go and call, ka, 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 ka. Then they would come. Like, yeah. So they know the house, so they get a lot of food. Like, and it's an amazing feeling, okay, when you eat it all together. So, okay, I'll stop here.
Wow. Super cool.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And the biodiversity is amazing. The biodiversity, how you coexist. And I think one thing I see is when I grow up, they tell you something good about each of the animals. And each of the animals somehow is a mascot for all the gods. Each god has a mascot animal. So they will tell you not to harm, or else kind of they just scare the kids. That god is going to come and punish you. That is more fear, but that also makes you to like the god. For example, if you like elephant, you would love some god. If you like crow, you would love some animal or god or something.
Like Ganesh.
Yes, you got it. And my favorite is monkey god, Hanuman.
Well, I'm year of the monkey.
And Hanuman is known for strength, and he's known for making, like, he's known to complete the task. How difficult it is, he'll complete.
I like it.
Yeah.
I like it. Yeah, because we've got quite a task ahead of us. And no matter how difficult it is, we will complete it.
Yes. Yes. And loyalty, perseverance, and everything. I mean, they kind of show the thing, and those stories, like basically like a comic. That phase of the life shows how they overcome the problem, and like girls love the cats, so most of the female goddess have the feline families, tiger, lions are their pets. So you can look at a lot of gods, like you can see, you will always associate an Indian god with the animal. Yeah, but I like the thing. I like how you're doing with the biodiverse thing. It's not just collective human intelligence. It's for everybody.
No, and I talk with the crows, and I tell them about the block party. I tell them when there's going to be a block party. I tell them how it went, and I just, and I invite them to participate however they want to participate, telepathically or by voice or whatever, just, you know, and so they get it.
Yeah. I know they're sharing it probably. I'm trying to understand, or we are trying to understand what they are saying, but they are giving us a message too. Okay. I hope you guys are okay. Like, it's not an extension. It's time for you guys take a rest.
No, it's cool. Yeah, well, we will go to bed soon though. But I'm really digging this AI idea, because here's the thing: one among the patterns that the AI will inevitably deduce is, you know, two people having a conversation. Each one internally has a map of what the other person knows and a map of what they don't know. And here they are trying to fill in, you know, I know this, I think they don't know that, so I'm going to tell them that, right? Like, here's what you won't see me do in a meeting. Hey, Nolan, guess what? 1 + 1 = 2. You know, you know, but I'll say, hey, you know, I read this book the other day. I might make a little query. Have you heard of this book? And you might say, no. Okay, great. Here, let me read to you a couple pages from it, because I'm now confident that you don't have this information. So this mental map of what do you know, what do you not know? And so much of our communication is, you know, we frame it. Okay, good. There's a data void here that I can fill. Blink, and I fill it. Blah, 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 with stories, with metaphors, you know, talking about things that already happened versus things that could happen. There's so much richness here, right? Saying that's possible, that's not possible, you know, people's paradigms. And I was going to go tell my whole story, my whole life story, right? Let me tell that. And that can even be structured with dates and times, things like that. And then we can go back and, you know, stamp, hashtag, whatever. These are all just layers of data. And the AI, the deep learning, is, my understanding is that it's so darn powerful in 2020 that it can just tear it up.
You
know, and it'll,
the driving wisdom, because what I mean to say is, your meetings, they are going in the direction, and you are carefully 24 hours is still not enough. That's all I would say, because you're segmenting the time, right? So you still want to, it's a test phase, right? You're going to segment and come up with the agenda. You know, in few weeks, the agenda will die. It's not going, it will not stand there. Some will pick up, and I mean, everything is a solution, but after that, one solution is practical, more practical, that has a more possibility to happen. And you have the data. That's where the intelligence is driving, that artificial intelligence is driving. And it drives you, that gives you that, keeps you on the track. So everything is a road, you can drive everywhere, but you have to carefully choose the medium vehicle on the road so that the time and effort, everything is focused and coordinated. That's a very, very thing, because still always there is an abundance, but when we have to do, there is a span. That's all you can use. So, and why we should focus on the driving agenda, or the intelligence is focused towards the action, and the intelligence are going towards both. Or else it's just, sometimes if it goes as a thought, maybe you're giving after 200 years, you're giving some solution. That's fine. You're ahead 200 years, that's fine. But now if your goal is to motivate to do something in next few years, the driving agenda, probably this artificial intelligence and the data sets are already talking to you. They are giving you the message. Focus on this agenda, focus on this agenda. This needs more people. More people have to execute this. More people have to come into this. So now you'll be like, what you gave time for half an hour in previous week, in upcoming, that's going to take 4 hours of your time, because it's working. And your indicator is the data sets and artificial intelligence.
Yeah, so what I'm thinking is, why not reach out proactively to some universities and departments and
Mm,
give them a one-page description of the data set and the context and the process and that it's ongoing and that we're looking to partner, right,
mhm.
with a research lab, possibly more than one, right? And because you know we are we are part of the ecosystem of development of collective superintelligence, and it is an ecosystem, and we're a part of it. And these are some of the roles that we're playing. These are some of the things that we're doing. You know, and would love to meet with you and talk about it. So let's have a conversation, right, and
Yeah,
share
that's
more.
all. Yeah, all it's something is you have a good notes. That's all. You have a good notes clarity. You have a good notes that has a good the message that's clear. So we need
Yeah,
that interpretation.
yeah, exactly. And we have lots of text that we can then add into the mix. All this stuff that I've been dictating, and Otter AI and all that, that's Jamen talking to himself, sometimes dictating something. So anyway, there's just, I just think it's super cool. And where else are you going to get a data set like this? Because, one person, okay, fine. They may record whatever they want, but a community recording itself and saying, here are the tapes. Here are the Watergate tapes. What? That's pretty darn rare. And we're not playing a game. Again, we're not playing pretend. We're not getting paid $15 an hour to pretend like we're having a conversation about something we don't care about, whatever, right? We care. I mean, the um ooh,
There's a little help needed. I see. Like only if you test this, you'll know. So like probably present it to. I know definitely the intelligence community is already doing it. Like all the NSAs or whoever they are already. Every speech is piled up, and what Facebook does with all those videos, and this is nothing. Okay, so this is and definitely Google when it can do it in such a real time transcripting. So it's not difficult. I know there will be errors, but fine, you're getting more message out of it. So errors are you have to assign that percentage of errors. You can even create like with the universities the collective intelligence opportunity. And
yeah, exactly, because analysis, AI, deep learning, um uh language, what is it called? Language.
Natural language processing.
Yeah, there's natural language. Yeah, I guess that's what it is. Okay, thank you. Yeah, natural language processing, ontology mapping, and all that. But then beyond that, there is the broader objective of creating a whole system for collective superintelligence, which involves transcription, indexing, search, way advanced search, where you can get really specific what you're looking for, and even be fuzzy about it. And because ultimately, what's it going to do? It's going to do a pattern match, right?
exactly, love it.
It's going to do a pattern match, and it's going to say, you know what, this vastly multidimensional wave is more or less in sync with this other multidimensional wave. Let me put the two together, and wow, each one is an experiment, right? Think of it as a wave combination or a wave superposition. Or it's some kind of a superposition, some kind of a geometric topological superposition.
Exactly, and you can address the gap. Like for example, you have the strategy or you have the policy, but nobody's talking about a finance aspect about it or the capacity aspect about it. Then probably you need to invite those people, and they have to share their do's and don'ts or everything. So now the data is balanced. Like I see a big gap, or maybe the launch date is a issue. Now you invite people and say, okay, this is the gap, why this is not happening. So the data talks for itself, and you have all. So you think, yeah.
Wow. Wow. Yeah, the gap, closing the gap and using pattern matching to figure out what people you need to bring in to close the gap. Any kind of gap, a gap in understanding, a gap in terms of the achievement of a goal.
Yeah.
And, you know, depending on how critical a given solution is to our survival, we can prioritize gaps within that solution that need to get closed ASAP. Ending hunger, cooling the planet, right? You know, building out CSI itself. There's gaps to be closed here, there, and everywhere, right? Anyway,
Okay.
I really feel good about the hyper solution that we're co-creating called Operation Stone Soup. I think it, you know, it rallies people together, not around some complicated beyond computer science thing called CSI. No, all that does is repel people, right? It's scary. It's scary and it's confusing. So, but food, everybody gets food. So let's get the world together via food. And then once they're all chowing down and happy, we, you know, invite them to the next step. Many are called, few are chosen. And we go from a few dozen of us or a few hundred of us to tens of thousands of us, hundreds of thousands of us, all right? And then talk about the data sets that we'll have. But, you know, but now we'll have this analysis capability, gap closing capability, right? Prioritization capabilities, modeling the whole world, directing farmers what to grow or giving them suggestions and rationale why and projections and everything, right? And also figuring out how much we need to do SRM and by when and how, and closing the gap. There's a big gap, bringing a lot of experts in of the patterns suggested by the patterns, right? Of the areas of expertise, right? Yeah. No, I think this is going to be a blast. So let's think about that, because we've got some serious stuff to offer. Because these labs do not have access to Facebook data, Google data, or any of that kind of data, right? And we offer such a nice, pure signal of people who are all coming together. Nobody's being paid. Nobody's being told what to say. They're just showing up and saying what they want in a safe, respectful environment, right? I think we got some serious gold here. And if we start spinning it in partnership with the right research labs, then I think we can get some major win-win-wins going on that will set us up really, really well to, you know, exponentiate CSI so that it can then go after SRM in an exponential way. So get ready for some exponential rides.
Maybe you can include them in one of the meetings. Whoever is in that thing, start giving them an invite. Let them be part of the meeting. Then they might tell you, you need a little bit rearrange your meeting this way so that it is more favorable, stuff like that. So.
Well, you know, I'm really glad that you talked about bringing them into the meeting, different people into the meeting. We could even bring these researchers into meetings, whether the block party or even different meetings. Why not? And then listen to this. Through a particular syntax, okay? In our meetings, we will develop a syntax and a culture of speaking directly to the AI, literally talking to the AI and saying, hashtag this, keyword this, intention this, context this, framing this, priority this. Please help. We need people right now. Hashtag help, hashtag double help, hashtag red alert. You know, the asteroid's coming. And then the AI is like, burr, burr, sending messages. Okay, from previous patterns, I need to identify Shankar. Shankar, bring your friends, those guys that were here earlier, bring them to, you know, and then we just have this swarming effect. We swarm around it and just hammer that gap until it's closed. Laser gun trained on asteroid using latest trajectory, vector, gravitational, and momentum and gyrational software. It's just gone, right? Or first shot misfire, correct. You know, all these people are just streaming, no, you need to use the cubic spline method of mapping its trajectory, not the X. Okay. They're all just like yelling at the computer, hashtag this. See, this becomes like a Minority Report. If you ever saw that sci-fi movie with Tom Cruise, there's like moving his hands and all this. So we're gonna have hand gestures and everything, and hand signals. So we're like signaling to each other, and we're signaling directly to the AI, and the AI is talking to people all over the world. Whoa. Let's do this. What the hell are we waiting for? Let's do this. I think we need to have another pre conversation. What the bleep are we waiting for in terms of amping up CSI? Look, everyone's at home. Everyone's on Zoom. All these researchers are at our fingertips. They ain't got nothing better to do. We got the best data in the world. Let's get it on. Let's do it. What's up?
Definitely. Like, I think that would matter. Yeah. Okay, all right. I won't let you guys hold. Okay, there is enough. You guys have to give some rest to the brain.
You know, strangely, I'm not tired anymore. At 2 in the morning, I was tired.
Yeah.
I was like, what the heck? Why can't Nolan just take the rest of the meeting? But now, strangely, talking about all this, I'm just like psyched.
Yeah, that's a good thing. You need that conclusion interpretation to move forward. This is the, what do you call, like the, I'm referring the diagram that you drew. A brain of the collective intelligence of the collective intelligence of the collective. So.
Yeah, exactly. No. But what we're talking about literally right here is kicking that thing off. Just boom.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And then, yeah.
Okay, I'll get going. I have another call to make. Call my parents.
All right,
and,
Shankar, great to see you, man.
Yes, thank you, guys.
Hey,
amazing.
and hey, thanks so much for bringing your friends. They're super cool.
Yes, I keep inviting the people, and some of them I told them yesterday, like they come and they have good ideas to contribute. I mean, see, I just don't randomly invite. When I talk to them,
yeah,
they express the need, and I said, hey, maybe you should come and discuss here. You have people here who are willing, and especially Jamen, who is to, what do you call, moderate or facilitate, so that my ideas talk linked with other person's idea, your idea, that evolves and gives you see the possibility of the solution rather than the problem statement. So that is that people feel, a lot of people happy, like, oh wow, already somebody is doing that, I didn't know. Like, yeah, you only looked at the problem statement, come here, people are doing it, why don't you be part of it? All right, I'll be part of it. They have a buy-in. I like that. Yes. So I keep pitching to the friends. Okay. So you don't have to be even concerned about it because it's a collection. People have to come together. Yes.
No, this is so cool. Yeah. And you know what? Another thing this data set provides is a level of intensity, 30 some hours per week, right? Whoa. Yeah. It's almost like a full-time job for all of us, right? And then we do our own voice dictations, our own otters, our own writings, our own, whatever we want to share. The more data, the better, obviously, right?
Yep.
But man, and then the cool thing is the AI will co-evolve with the community, and then all this symbiosis back and forth, all the pattern matching, the closing of gaps and all that. It just makes it so much more productive and so much more useful. And you're like, oh, you're not part of it? Dude, join. It's so much fun. It's so cool. And you join, and there's like some AI bot saying, welcome, welcome. Tell me about yourself. What are you interested in?
Yep.
Do you believe in
the,
climate change? Do you like Donald Trump? Who do you like better, Nolan or Jamen or Shankar? You know, just kidding. You know, no, and they're like, well, dude, I'm here because like I was watching some videos from like a few weeks ago where you're talking about like permaculture and shit, and we'd like to kind of grow ganja in our apartment. So I was just wondering if, you know, you guys, well, you know.
Yep. Yeah, maybe you should do one for the school kids, Jamen, because Friday evening is little relaxed. So why don't we do like parents bring your kids? It's kids collective intelligence. CC.
We'll just call it the cool kids.
Yeah.
The
Okay.
Cool kids.
Yes, and let them share. And because I remember my kids, they shared. Oh, I was amazed. So probably bunch of kids coming and telling and sharing the wisdom and everything. At least their fresh minds are already solving. At the toy level, they are already solving the problem. Maybe we are not recognizing as a grown-up adults, we are not recognizing that. Or conditioned, we are conditioned. We're not accepting it.
Totally. Oh my goodness. No, that's right. And the thing is, the children, they're so pure in their communication. They don't play these screwed up psycho games of, I'm going to say one thing, meaning the opposite, hoping she doesn't believe me, and then therefore she'll go, and what? Dude, you know, the kids are just like, no, give me that. Well, wait, let's share. Okay, hey, can I show you this game? And then especially with playing games, because there's so many guardrails and rules in the game, and then the conversations around the game. We're playing the game of feeding everyone in the world and cooling the planet and going super intelligent. These are 3 games we're playing at once. Feed everyone, cool the planet, go super intelligent, and stop violence. and, right? And the list goes on and on. Right?
Yeah. And that thing also, I heard the gangs and everything. You're just your buddies out there. Why don't you see that? Like, especially the community gangs, I'm saying, like, yeah. If they could see them as a coalition rather than seeing that street guys versus this street guys. So you're like, well, we should probably correlate more. Like you have the competition, put that on sports. That's fine. I understand you have the energy. Why can't you put it in a sports in a good way so that one good sports player is emerging from this area rather than putting it on violence.
Yeah, exactly. And then there will be so many examples from real communities where those kind of programs were implemented successfully, and they'll be able to do all kinds of pattern matching on that and say, well, what was it about this community? And so for localization or exporting a solution from one community to another, right? There can even be like, those special cable connectors, converters, and everything that we use on our computers for monitors, for, whatever devices, printers. So we've got this, these adapter cables from any one culture to any other. Let's say from French culture to British culture, there can be an adapter. It's not perfect. It's not perfect, right? But, most of the time it helps adapt. Not, the translation, that's one thing. Google Translate does a great job of that. But what about the cultural adapter? Okay, we got the words. Okay, got it. But now what are they really saying? All right, take Japanese culture, for example. They might say, thank you so much. That's a great idea. But what they really mean is, dude, that's the dumbest idea I've ever freaking heard in my life. And I hope I don't hear it from you again. But, you got to be able to read the tea leaves in Japanese and the gestures and everything else. My goodness, talk about a Talk about a culture that the AI is going to have a lot of fun unpacking, right? That's one of the, and by the way, that's one of the advantages of American culture. You know, we're pretty direct. At the same time, we're respectful. You know, we're very fact-based and all that. I would just say we've got a lot of good stuff going for us in terms of AI mapping and digesting and understanding the whole thing, right?
Yeah, no, I agree. A lot of cultures have that indirect notation.
Yeah, but I mean, American is pretty direct, I'd say. I don't know.
Yeah, actually, there is one poetry. There's one poetry in my local language. The Tamil is one of the oldest language. So there is a poet, or a wise woman. Okay, she grows across the kingdoms, and she's a good advisor across the kingdoms. So she goes to one king, and that king says, okay, the context here is two kings are clashing, and one is a big guy, really big guy. He's been like waging wars and winning like anything. Other is a little guy, thinks that he can win. Okay, still he has not understood about himself, his power, especially in relation to others. And this big guy, this woman sage or the advisor goes to this king and says, hey, that little king is messing with me, and I already gave enough warning, he's not getting the message. Then this woman says, let me go and talk to him. Okay, she goes and talks to that king and he says, let me take you to all my cantonment, or all those war, where you keep all the war things, items and everything. It's all new, shiny and everything. And she's like, oh my God, this guy doesn't even have used this. So is that new? And then she says the message indirectly, wow, look at all your weapons. Very new and shiny. Wow. Whereas that king's weapon are very rusty. It is all like the blood and everything. So maybe, yeah, I like yours. Then this guy gets the message. I don't have an experience.
No, it's beautiful because it avoided any conflict. It was this cultural connector, but with an agenda of peace. Does that sound familiar? We're a cultural connector with an agenda of feeding everyone. Hello, cooling the planet. Hello, getting smarter and getting connected. Hello, right? Yeah. So we become this. We are like this universal culture connector, right? With this benevolent agenda. And then we'll build other specific cultural connectors for different contexts, right?
Yes.
You know, anyway, so all kinds of really great stuff is going to be emergent from this. Another big advantage is we're generally pretty smart and pretty eloquent, right? And we put in long hours.
Yeah.
and
okay.
And the,
I have to exit. Okay, I have to make a call. Like they call audio. I'm getting message.
You go ahead. You go ahead. All right,
And
Shankar. Great to see you.
Okay. Thank you.
All right.
Thank you.
See you soon. Thanks, Shankar.
Take rest.
All right.
Stay safe.
Thanks, Shankar. You too. Thanks. Oh my goodness. Super cool. Woo.
Yeah.
Man. Yeah. See, because what that story that Shankar just told us is that cultural connector knew, had a good model for what's in each person's mind and what their triggers are, what their knowledge is, what their gaps are. And then it filled gaps with knowledge, because none of what it said was untrue, right, necessarily. But it was said in a particular way that certain tumblers or certain cascading exponentials happened in a certain sequence that took you to a different end state, right, of either intention or awareness or whatever, right? the big game here is once we figure out the right hyper solution, to then do that kind of cultural connection to whole communities, to individuals, to groups, to companies, to governments, to you name it, to families, to neighborhoods, whatever, depending on where they're at, what they need, what they have to offer, and say, hey, you've got all this abundant produce. And the guy's like, yeah, damn right I do. I'm about to compost it all. I don't give nothing away. Well, you know, and then the cultural connector comes in and starts working with the dude. And the next thing you know, he's giving away all his produce. You know, and we'll have patterns to observe from other similar conversations. It's not like he's the only redneck in the Midwest. Okay, redneck number 141, try telling him this. Hey, Bob, how's it going? Yeah, I noticed you got all this produce and stuff. Look, we'd like to run a story about your generosity and run it in the local paper. You know, just, okay, attempt number 141 failed. Okay, go on to redneck number 142. Joe, how's it going? Hey, listen. Remember that time you gave me an apple 5 years ago? No? Well, you did it. I just wanted to thank you. Start with gratitude. That is the strategy, right? And then, you know, when we find out what works, right, we repeat successes and we refine them, right? We can use this as just this massive machinery for societal, cultural transformation. Because here's the thing. Here's a big, big question. If all this cultural transformation is going to happen anyway, and all the societal transformation is going to, it's inevitable. It is happening, right? Why not design it, right? Or at least come at it with a specific intention, if not design, and say, look, whatever shakes out, let this intention be, you know, that which determines which way it goes. Or outright design it. Why not? Or some hybrid. I don't know. Anyway, deep thoughts from Jamen Shively on a Saturday morning after 26 hours of block party.
26. Wow.
Yeah. This one and the previous one were 26 hours each. 14 and 15 were 26-hour block parties. All right.
Well, I could for sure use some rest.
All right, let's give ourselves a break. Let's give our audience a break. Thank you all for watching. Thanks everyone for participating. Thank you, Nolan. Freaking awesome. Really awesome work, man. Thank you. And thanks everyone. Domo domo. Arigatou gozaimasu. All right. We'll see you on Block Party 16 next Friday. And before that, we'll see you on the Solution Club on Tuesday. Thanks, everyone. Love to all.